Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Power Platform Clinic. My name is Duncan Boyne. I am a LinkedIn nerd. I spend a lot of time on there, probably too much time. And in my working time, I am actually a data and applications analyst for a manufacturing company. I post regularly on all things Power Platform and my chosen area of expertise is Power BI. And today I am joined by my co-host Ian Tweedy, who is going to talk about himself.
Hi, yes. So I'm Ian Tweedy. I am what am I? I'm a senior senior technical consultant for Capgemini, and I focus on the Power Platform. I don't know why I got lost for words there, and I forgot who I was and what I did, but I did. So that's probably a sign of the times.
Mhm.
But yeah, I tend to focus quite a lot around Power Platform. I've written a few tools, and I've got a number of certifications which I like to wind Duncan up from time to time with, just because it's fun.
When he says a number of, it's in the 30s. This man loves to do tests. I don't know why. And when he says some apps, he has created, is it 6 apps for different
Six
things?
tools, six
Six
tools. They all
tools,
do
six
different
tools.
things, but yeah, there's 6 tools at the moment out there. I'm working on my 7th, so
Ooh, sneak peek, sneak peek. Anyway,
maybe not.
we have had a question come in, and this one is definitely going to you, Ian. How can I access an API that does not have a connector in Power Automate?
Yeah, okay, no worries. Let's see how I can do this. Let me share my screen. So we're inside of Power Automate, and we're trying to reach out to like a REST API endpoint, and we don't already have a connector inside of Power Automate. We need to have premium for this. Unfortunately, it's going to cost you some money if you don't have premium. And what we're going to do is going to create a new flow. Now I'm just going to create a button push flow. And if you don't have the connector available in this list, the one which you want to look for is called HTTP. And what this allows you to do is basically go and access a website. That's all an API is doing, is it's going and accessing a website. Either it's accessing it with a GET request, which is something we do every day. You go to Google, what's happening in the background is you're doing a GET request. Don't let anyone scare you with the terminology. The method is GET. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go and get something. The other options could be to delete, patch, post, put. Now there's some rough rules around these. The delete one is usually used for deleting stuff. Post, put, and patch, it depends on who wrote that thing at the other end, basically, as to how they use it. It's not a solid rule. There are some general guidelines that you should use patch or put to update stuff and post to, but it's a bit of a free for all. And of course, as developers, we wouldn't want any rules, or we like few rules at times. So, but the main difference with the operations other than get is you're usually sending something over. So your request usually include some body. So there's 3 elements. We've got the URI, which is really just a URL if you think about it. We've got the headers. We've got some queries. That's just all the stuff that sits at the top. See this thing along here? And then this thing after the question mark, they're just queries. So we've got a query here that says trigger equals providers. Once again, there's nothing special about it. We've got this thing called body. What we're going to do is we're going to do something really simple to start off with for today in this clinic, and that's going to be, I found this endpoint. It's called basically you get a random dad joke. And as you know, we're both dads, and there's a lot of people out there are dads. I thought, but why not do this one?
Mm-hmm.
So if I hit this website now, I just get this page, get some nasty adverts, and get this page.
Mm-hmm.
So let me hit it inside of Postman. Now, Postman is an amazing tool. Think of it like a web browser that you can do better things with. So if I hit that same endpoint, if I create a new request here, I'm going to hit that same endpoint, and I'm just going to delete that. You can see what I got back is a load of HTML.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I was in a web page, I'd be looking at this website right now. Who wants to see that? I'd be looking at this website right now, the dad joke website.
Mhm.
However, in Power Automate, I want something a bit more programmatic. I want something JSON. I don't want any of the rubbish around the edge. So when you look at their documentation, they have this, and a lot of the times they talk about curl. Curl is just the program that you use from command line, or a program you can use from command line. But this H means header. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this except application/JSON. So let me go in and go to my headers. I'm going to untick this one because it won't let me edit it. I'm just going to pop a new except in. And then I copied the wrong thing. I want to copy the application/JSON. Not because I can't spell it, just because I can't be bothered to type it. Oh, look,
People are watching, which means you can't spell it. Everyone knows if someone's staring at you while you type, you cannot spell for anything. It's just the law.
So if I send that, you'll see I got some nice JSON back.
Ooh.
Oh, that's good, because if I'm using Power Automate, I want something that comes back like that, because I'm going to feed it somewhere. So when you're connecting these things up, we need to pay attention to what's going on in this URL field, but also read what the headers are asking you to pop in, because you may not be getting the right response back because you haven't put the header in, and you've seen the difference there that adding this header has made to that particular exchange information. So let's run this in Power BI now. So in the top field, I'm popping in
Power BI.
Sorry, Power Automate.
Stealing my job.
Do you know what? Right, the word power is overused, like the word copilot is overused, I think.
Generative AI.
So right, well, yeah. Now I need to. So if I do that without headers, and I want to see my response. So I'm invalid. Oh, okay. It wants HTTPS // What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a compose in so I can see what it's done. And the object I'm going to select is the body. So I'm just going to select that body. And the body is this thing here. This thing here I get back. Or inside of Postman, it was this thing here. So if I save that and give that a test. If we click
Amazing.
on,
you get the whole HTML jargon.
Yeah, so I've had that same response again, the HTML jargon that's come back. I didn't need to put that compose in, but I did it anyway. So, but you get this HTML jargon that's come back. Okay, so if I now click back on this and I put in headers, so if I go to copy, I'm not going to spell on a live recording. Just seems like a very silly thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't really work, did it? It's copied low rubbish. Delete. Okay, save. So we're now passing in that header. You can pass in as many headers as you like. You can see. You can also toggle this T thing, so you could toggle it in as a JSON object if you needed to do something funky up, further up with some switch statements or something to compose your header or pass it into some variables.
Yeah.
It's obviously easy to do it like that. So let's test that and let's see what we get back. I should really do it manually. Run. Done. Okay. So we've had it back.
Mm-hmm.
We've got this joke thing that's come back.
Yep.
Show more outputs.
Joke parameter.
I don't know whether I should read the joke out or not. I probably should sense check it first to make sure that we're not going to get into trouble. Although I can't read it all. Okay, so let's try and extract that joke. So copy the body. Now, will it let me? Has it like pre-parsed it? It didn't use to pre-parse it. No, it's not pre-parsed it. Nah. So what we need to do is we need to parse this JSON. The operation and upload sample payload. So you saw a moment ago I copied the body. I'm just going to dump that in here because that's a sample payload. From that, it's going to work out essentially that I've got 3 text fields and it's in a single JSON object. But if you had something else, it might go, hang on a minute, we've got a JSON and a nested array and some other objects. So it's important you copy and paste that in. Sometimes you may have to shorten it, so just bear that in mind. And now it's giving me a schema. So it says we've got an object and we've got an ID string, a joke string, and a status string. Well, a status integer, sorry. I can't read quite clearly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put another compose in. This one I do actually need. And what I want to pull out is I want to grab the body joke. Now, I hope we've all got, content is required. Oh, sorry. In the content field up here, we need to select where it's getting it from. So it's getting the body. So what it's going to do is it's going to take the body from there. Don't need this thing anymore. It's going to take the body from there. It's going to parse it. So it's going to turn it from being like a JSON object into a load of text objects. You're going to ask me a question.
No. I'm content with where you're going. I was going to ask if you were going to delete the first compose, and you did anyway. So.
Oh yeah. And now I've got my compose one. Yeah, I know. If I was following best practices, I would call them the right thing, but we're just doing a quick demo here. Yeah. So let's save that, and let's test it. Let's just do it manually, and.
That is a very good joke as well.
I mean, I think I would. My kids would definitely be very unhappy if I told them that joke. It's like the worst Christmas cracker joke ever, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's like the back of a penguin. Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get copyright struck for that, aren't we?
So that is a very quick demo on how to talk to something. Git connect to something that is doesn't have a connector in Power Automate.
So, can we think of a scenario where someone would want to use this in a business? Like, in what scenario would this actually happen in our working lives?
So you'll sometimes find that you may be working with a supplier, and you need to just essentially ask them a question. That's essentially what this is doing. Is it's asking a question. That's HTTP is reaching out and going, "Oi, you, give me this thing," and in this case, "Oi, you, give me a dad joke," and it's coming back with a dad joke. So you may have a situation where you need to reach out to an external supplier or someone who you interface with or someone who you work with, and you need to ask them a thing, and the capabilities there. If we need to add authentication to it, it's possible. We can also make it reusable, and actually I could do this in a follow-up session. We can make it reusable because we can build it into a connector of our own and publish that connector out to our company. So yes, it is a bit technical, but we can reach out. Let's say one company needed to talk to another. We can absolutely use this.
So I've got an example. So if you work for a retail company and you have literal suppliers, and you want a list of their different stock options and their different items for sale, you could get that, and then you could write it to a Dataverse table, can you, as well, all within this?
You absolutely could. Although if we were using Dataverse, I'd be tempted to use some kind of data flow to import the data into a Dataverse table, or maybe even sometimes a virtual table may be possible. It depends on what the source was. The virtual table is a bit more picky.
But yeah, there is so many options for this, and like you said, there are licensing restrictions on this, but you can pretty much do what you like with it.
Yeah, it's premium's the restriction. You'll see somewhere around there's the little premium logo. There we go. But most of the connectors that are much fun have the premium stuck next to it.
Awesome, awesome. Is it my turn now? Do I get to show off?
You do get to well, you get to show everyone what you can do. Yes. What's
Yes.
let me see if I can find the question that we've got for you today. So, question for you, Duncan.
Mm-hmm.
I want to use some non-standard visuals in my Power BI reports. Where can I find them, and are they safe?
That is a great question. Yes, you can. Some might recognize this little data set from a previous video, but what I'm going to show you is where you can find some custom visuals, as well as just which ones are good, which ones aren't, how you can tell if they're certified by Microsoft or not, and to find where people actually post them. So first and foremost, to get a new custom visual, you need your visualizations pane open. There's 3 little dots, says get more visuals. I'm just going to minimize this. So you can import it from a file. If you are that tech savvy and you've built one yourself and you're going to import it, you probably don't need this answer, but it's still there. You can remove a visual if you add ones that you no longer want to use, but let's click on get more visuals. So presented with this, I'm in dark mode, but it's exactly the same. So there's a couple of things to see on here. So you will find the little tick means Power BI certified, so Microsoft certified. That's a mouthful. And then there is a long list. It's normally organized by popularity. You go by rating, by name. Or if you just want to look at certified ones, you can go straight here. So a simple one that I'm going to use is the text filter for this. So we'll get that added to the report and we'll have a look. So do I want to update it? No, because the same one. I do already have it on here. So it comes in as a visual, but what we're going to do on this lovely little data set I've got, which is a Microsoft one, let's look at what I used for login ID. That is from Human Resources Employee. So let's have a look. We want to do login ID. Give that a drag over here. And if we want anyone with the name Alex, let's have a search. Bam. A quick, simple, easy filtering system. We've all used slices and stuff before, but to have like a tile or a drop down for names is going to be obsolete. You're not going to try and go through 1,000 names and try and find those ones. So we can go for ones that are just with the name Alex. Maybe there's one I can find where there's going to be more than one person for that particular name, and then you just use the little rubber icon when you're done with it. In fact, there's 2 Andrews. Let's go for Andrew. Yeah, there we go. So that's one. I have got a couple more to show you, which are a little bit more complicated than this. It's not just quite drag and drop. So I'll take you back into the visuals. The one I'm speaking about in particular is called Deneb. Deneb was produced by Daniel Patrick. He has released a few different visuals, which I find all of them are great. Deneb is the most customizable visual imaginable. You're going to write some code, specifically JSON in Vega or Vega Lite, to show completely custom visuals and in a way that you can do anything with them. There's a few examples that he gives with the actual listing. You've got a little heat map here, some bar charts on the slide showing different sales and then sales amount per region and per month, but we're going to have that done. So I have done a good old Blue Peter. I don't know if we're allowed to name drop them, and done a couple of here already that I can show you. So I'll start on page 1. So I have a little data set where we've got some customer names, how much they owe, and the average amount of overdays due from their invoice they are. And I wanted a little bar chart which would show colors based on how overdue they were. So anything over 30 days overdue would be in the burnt orange red color, and then blue for the under 30 days. So let's have a look under the hood of this Deneb. So if I just scroll down here, this is your JSON, which, as we all know, if you are in the Power Platform space, then JSON is your best friend. You're going to use it quite a lot. There's a lot of great tools on XRM Toolbox you can use with JSON and just the likes of it. So just some very basic information here. We're talking about the bar. What's the bar going to be done? It's going to be by customer name. The total debt is quantitative because we're looking at how much they owe. We want that to go up higher. And then we are going here on the average days due and doing a filter on anything that's bigger than 30. And then, yeah, there isn't really that much to it. And that's it. Once you make changes in here, you can either do it in two different ways. You can apply the changes once you're done, or you can actually click this button and the visual will change as you're changing things. So if you are doing some bug testing or you want to make some minor tweaks just to see how you get on and then reverse it, if you have this button clicked, you will be able to go forward and backwards from it. So if I say change this value to, because this is a hex code, let's change this to bam, and out of that. So it's relatively simple. And we'll put that back to red and come back out of this. And a slightly more complicated one is this little bad boy over here, which I will enlarge, which looks a lot less good enlarged. So this is the total debt with a little dot increasing in size depending on the customer. So the customers are each color coded, and then the total debt grows larger with the dot size. So you can see good old Gamma PLC over here, big debt, long overdue. These are the ones to target. And it's almost, you could do a line in here to show you the break in which it's worth chasing, if that's how you want to make decisions based on invoice data, based on overdue days. And that one, if we have another look under the hood on this one, this is slightly more complicated, but still fairly simple. There is no pay-to-eat that I put on the actual blogs, but it doesn't, just by the by. Quantitative again for the average overdue days and the total debt, because we're talking numbers, taking it from the customer data. So yeah, that is custom visuals and how to find them. There is a lot of different web links you can get. There is a lot of different people who contribute on GitHub or on LinkedIn with custom visuals. There's a whole host of people you can look out for to look at those, and I'll add some in the description. So what do you think, Ian? Do you like them?
They look pretty cool. They do. You can certainly do more than I thought you could. Where would be a good place to go where I could see almost a gallery, particularly with the Deneb ones? Is there like a big gallery somewhere where people have shared their contributions, a bit like the PCF gallery? Is there anything like that kicking around?
Yes, there is. One person in particular I would say to look at is I'm gonna hash her name. I'm sorry, Kerry Kolosco. I can't say it. She hosts a whole templates file like selection of different Deneb visuals, just a proper wider range of things. I like this one in particular. I've used this on a couple ones or very similar. It's just either a dot chart or a line chart next to some KPI figures. That one's a great one. So this bubble histogram is one that I showed you slightly on the Deneb actual custom page where you install it. So that was done as like a heat map with squares, whereas this one's done as a bubble with a bar chart on the side. Love this one. A Sankey chart or a ribbon chart where you can change the opacity. That's a very, very cool one. This is almost like a stock chart, which I don't actually know the technical name for, but yeah, you know, the whole green and red ticks. Spike map, that's a cool one. But yes, she's got a whole host of them. If I go for GitHub.
So do Deneb visuals only work inside the Power BI, or can you is it implemented anywhere else? For instance, could you copy the same JSON with the same data and get it to render on for instance a web page?
No, not that I know of.
So are there any other visuals out there like Deneb which can do other cool things like this, you know, where you've got the freedom and you've got that library that someone's already set up? So obviously Deneb, we've seen that library that's been done. Are there any others?
Yeah, so actually another one by Daniel Marsh-Patrick, HTML content. You can literally paste in, you know, straight as HTML and produce things on a visual. So let's have a look at what this is once it loads. So as you can see here is a very fine way. So country flag HTML. So this is done as the measure. And then the image source, so the website you're pulling it from, country codes, linking back to the measure in a different measure, and then the actual file name. So they're putting in straight in flags. So sales summaries by country, and then this is the measure to do it. And it can actually produce the images. So if you have a library you can point to for icons, or there's another way of using this where you can use it for, if you're making like a, let's say you're a property manager and you've got 10 or 12 different listings of different properties. You could have one where you click through each one of your properties, and the image could actually pop up of the actual property itself, and then you could have some different visual data going on depending on it, and that can all be used using the HTML content. It's a wonderful one.
Can you iframe at all?
That is a good question. I think I remember trying to play around with it and you couldn't, but I'm very happy to try and do that in another video.
Okay.
Maybe we can, yeah. Okay, so any other really good ones that I would recommend? There are a few that are quite good. So if you're doing like a customer feedback thing, or a customer services report, or even so if you go out for customer feedback, you're a manufacturing company and you're asking for feedback on the latest deliveries, or even the stock itself you're sending out, a wonderful one I actually like is word cloud. So word cloud is quite simple. It just takes the most common words in a string of data. So if you've got you can even do it by name. So if we did it on the other data that I had, where you had names, the words increase by the size of the amount of times they're said. So if you've got Andrew like 5 or 6 times, it would probably be as big as social, and it can get all the way down to the smaller ones if only got one, like fun in the middle there. It's really customizable. In fact, I am going to actually show you it on the other one. Let's go back to the other page.
First thought that changed my mind there was, is there anything I've got to do in order to get it to pick certain words out from a string?
That is literally what I'm going to show you. So,
okay,
because that is one of the most common things when you've got like you're always going to want to exclude the words like the, I, or, and, because you don't need that data. You're never going to need that data. So if I just go on the third page here, let's chuck a word cloud up here. Let's go for what.
And then of course special characters. What does it do with them? Like full stops, commas, apostrophes.
Mm-hmm. So let's go for employee.
A full stop is your most common word, do you?
No, you do not. No, you do not. In fact, where did I get the first name data from? Let's have a look there. Ask person, of course it is. Yeah.
So is this just a generic HR data set, yeah?
Yes, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's from AdventureWorks actually. So, and as you can see here, you've got the certain names that are posted out. So it's probably on a scale of 1 to 2. So Barbara at 1, Philip 2. I thought that would be the case. So if we want to go into customizations here, stop words. So default stop words is on. When you have that, it has a set of words to not use. You can have a look at the library on those, but it is like those most common words that, and, or, but let's just add one of our own. Let's go Marie, and she's gone. As simple as that. And then we can go back and add her in again, and then she comes back. We can exclude Carol, and then let's put a comma in, and let's do Philip. And Philip's gone. Carol came back. There's a space. I can't remember. It might be full stop. No, space. Yeah, it's a space to use for the default stops. So this rotate text is obviously how much things can be rotated to fit in there. So if you want to go for a slightly less angle so that you can read the words better, or if it's if this is slightly too much where the names are almost vertical, you can completely change that. There's lots of different ways of doing it. So performance, pre-estimated words, that's one I haven't touched. I'm not even going to try and pretend that I can tell you about that one. But yeah, this is it. So max number of words, you can change that. So if you are only looking for like the top 50 words because you want it really concise, top 50, or if you're like, actually, I want to see all the words, let's go for 1,000. And then you are absolutely filling up. You can change the minimum and maximum font size. So if you want to say, actually, I want the little ones to be slightly bigger because they're unreadable. Let's go for 30 on there and go back down to like 500 on here. I know it's actually not displaying that many, is it? All right, like that. And it's not got a huge amount of use cases, but for those ones, almost like other instances of this used. I'm trying to think. Just going back to those like customer feedback and customer comments. Or actually, what a good one is if you're doing like a IT help desk report or looking at open cases with your HR department or IT department, you can look for common causes with this. So like how many times have you had to do a installation of Adobe, or if you've had someone who's got a Power BI data set and it needs refreshing, how many times you're getting those, and you can visually see, right, what the areas can we actually look at from that. It's only a high level thing. It's only in your face a little bit, but it's another cool custom visual that you don't get out of the box.
Sounds pretty cool. No, thank you very much. That's awesome. If, for instance, I was really worried about security, is it just I'm looking out for Power BI visuals that aren't certified?
Yeah, and then the ones that aren't certified, you kind of have to take on its merit. You can either look at their GitHub, you can look at their website, or what I usually go for is I look at the person who's produced it. So I'm going to go back to Daniel again. If he watches this video, he's going to be like, thank you for the plug. So some of his have got the ticks because they've been certified. In fact, most of his has been. So would I trust the others? Yes, I would. From a security process and going through cybersecurity, you might not possibly do that. You'd have to speak to your own IT department for it, but he's been trusted by Microsoft on 5 of his visuals, so I don't see why I would worry about the other 2.
Okay, PDF viewer, would it be all right to have a look at that one, see how that works?
Yeah, that is by DS Analytics AB. Let's have a look at that. I've not touched this one. So, that was cool. Let's download a sample. Add.
So what was that sample? Is that a Power BI report where they've used it?
So yeah, that's a PBIX where they've actually used it. So I'm just gonna.
And is that available for all
yes,
customers?
Available for anyone who wants to click on that. On most of them, you can download a sample directly and actually have a look at how that visual is used and set up, and decide if you want to then put it into your own report, which is handy. There's lots of places online where people will give you examples or samples for using custom visuals, or if you really are just worried about it and you want to see it and how it would look separately, you can ask ChatGPT for a basic data set that would work with that visual. Let me just load up this. So I'm going to share my screen again. So this is the one. So let's have a look at the data. So in the data, you've got the column for PDF, just the name of it, and then this string is.
That looks a bit.
It's a base 64.
Yeah.
Okay. Which we all could find, but yeah. And then it looks like this. It's pretty nifty.
Nice.
And export the document. Learn more. Pretty cool. Then you can change between the PDFs you want to look at. That could be really cool to embed that as part of an embedded report on a SharePoint site for an intranet site. So you can almost show the facts that you're talking the data on, and then you can have a PDF that delivers like the extra content to it, or lots of different ways to use this. This is pretty cool. I need to have a play with this.
Nice. Well, no, thank you very much for answering that question.
Gladly. I'll stop sharing. So that wraps up episode 3 of the Power Platform Clinic. I've had a great time reviewing it.
I've had an awesome time, learned lots about custom visuals, so that's been good.
Honestly, custom visuals are such a passion of mine. I really enjoy them. It can definitely give you a different edge over a standard report. There are some, niche ones out there, but sometimes you need niche. Sometimes that is what is going to deliver the value to the customer. So happy to show that. So if you want a ask a question, have it answered live, or even come on the show and ask your question and we can do it for you live, the links will be in the description. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please like, subscribe, and share, and stay safe.